What up guys, it's Sheepai back with another deck profile. This time it's going to be Libromancer Mikanko, and I took this deck to a regional, which I sadly did not top, but it is not the deck's fault because it's totally my fault. I threw two games which were free, which I could have won the match just by simply not misplaying, and I was just stupid and threw the games away, so I'm incredibly happy with the deck. I went 3-0 at first, but I threw it, sadly. Was totally possible, and if I had not misplayed, like, I would have topped easily without a doubt. And, like, we can get into the deck, but at first I want to mention the deck is really good against Kashtira. It is built to beat Kashtira and Despia, and honestly, I was looking through all the decks with a good Kashtira matchup, and this is one of the decks I really enjoy because it's more of a combo deck, and you will see what I mean by beating Kashtira easily. Starting off with the Libromancers, we're playing 3 Fire, 2 Geek, 2 Field Spell, and then 1 Terraforming and 3 E-Tally. So 11 in total in a deck count of 45. And 45 is the reasoning because I wanted to play these 11 because you need at least 2 of it, and those are basically the same. Like, fire is some kind of interchangeable, but if you like open 2 of those 7 cards, or like 8 cards with terraforming, that's basically the same thing. So you want to minimize the chance of opening one of them, but still have the chance to open 2 Libromancers. But you don't want to draw too many because having a hand full of Libromancers is like the worst hand in the deck, because we're not playing Isolde because I don't like to prick. So think of that what you will, but Isolde just contributes to pricky hands because you have to play 2 more cards that you don't want to draw, or like a 3. So playing 11 Libromancers, so we see at least 1, maybe 2, but hopefully not more. And I think those are perfect. And with the package, we're also playing 1 Intervention, 1 Doom Broker, and 1 Agent. Like, those are the needed pieces. Agent is pretty cool because if you open Fire and Geek Boy, you want to have something additional to search. And also, Agent keeps the combo live for the grind game because you can put back the Intervention and then just set it again with the Doom Broker. So I really like it. I wouldn't go above 2 Agents because even if you lose them early on in the game, you really don't care about it because you're already in a winning position. And it just makes it a little more sustainable over like 3-4 turns. So this is the needed package. I tried cutting down on it on like maybe 2 fire, not the terraforming, so down 2 cards, and played a little less in the deck, but I think 45 really makes sense if you consider all the cards that you like only want to draw in combination and not by themselves, like for example the intervention or the agent. So you don't want to draw too many of these, like maximum 1 per hand and not more. So I think 45 is perfect. And then for the Mikankos, we're playing 3 Ohima, but I just want to show you 2 at first because we're playing 1 Nini and 1 Arabesque. Like, this is the small Mikanko package, which I was trying at first, and it performed really good. But the thing is, like, if you only play the small package, you cannot go like over 5 turns, I would say, because after 1 use and not having a shuffler, for example, the engine is dead. So I chose to play the big package with 1 more Ohima, 1 Rondo, and 1 Ceremony, just to have another play with Ohima. So you can start by Ohima getting the Arabesque, or then later you can start by Ohima grabbing the Ceremony to mill the Rondo and stuff. Also, it's pretty nice that you can dump the other one if you already drew one, and then it's like double snatch steal, which is pretty cool against a lot of decks, paired with an Omni Negate, of course, because if not, it's pretty useless. But in general, I like the big package. I wouldn't play the other Mikanko, like the red one, the one with Renard, because with that combination, you only don't want to draw this one, and all the other cards are basically perfectly fine. But those 2 are just 1 cards that you don't want to draw alone, but you need them in combination with something else. So, as being said, the same for the intervention and the agent. Those are the cards you really want to draw only a maximum of 1 in your hand. So we're increasing the deck size to just not brick on them. And now for the part of the deck that holds it together, 3 Diviner and 2 Benton. Those are like the bridges between the engines, because Benton can grab the Ohima if you tribute it for Doombroker, and Diviner can just grab any ritual monster in the game, which is pretty neat. And also makes the Baron, which gives you the negate on 5. So you only be proof, which is pretty cool. And in general, like, Divine is straight up one of the best normal summons in the game. And with it, we're also playing 3 prep and 3 pot. Pot is just insane. Like, if your deck can play pot, you should play pot, because it can grab basically any card of the deck. And because the engine count of any engine is like really high, and also prep is not once per turn, with pot you should be able to grab every card you need in any given circumstance, like if you talk about the engines. So I really enjoy the pot, I really enjoy the preps. I think 3 Diviner over 3 Benton is way better, because Diviner does a lot more on its own and doesn't require you to have the feed spell up, because like if you hard throw the Benton, which is fine, but if you're hard throwing the Benton and your opponent pops the feed spell, for example, like in a going second scenario, then your Benton doesn't accomplish that much, except by being a ritual in the hand you can reveal. So I really like 2 Bentons and 3 Diviner. So this engine, or like this package, keeps the deck ticking and really ensures you're not bricking or just having a higher consistency. Now for the 13 last spots in the deck, we're playing 1 Saravus, 1 Mudora, 1 Instant Fusion, and 1 Thrusting. Only 1 Thrusting because it's just another copy of Instant Fusion. Like, I don't play it because it can grab the pots or like the preps. That's a nice added bonus, but it's just another copy of Instant Fusion, which is pretty good against Kashtira if you're playing the Millennium Eyes, which I will get to in the extra deck. And Mudora and Saravus are like additional combo pieces, or like additional search targets, which do stuff on its own, because Mudora is a graveyard shuffler, and if you played the last format, you should already know that those are insane. And Saravus was like really overperforming for me, and just one of the best cards in the decks, because it keeps your ritual count up, which is pretty nice. You can, for example, reveal fire, reveal the Saravus, special the fire, and if they impermit, you can Saravus it, and then grab another ritual, or if you already have another ritual, it's pretty nice. So you can just keep playing. And also, a lot of the tech cards that are being played right now are like Book of Moon, then there's also Econ, then there's Runic decks, and there's a Rise Out. Like, all the stuff targets, and if the targeted gets negated, then you're in a pretty good position. For example, if they use the Rise Out banish and you can negate it, then there's not really that much left for the deck to do. Also against Runic, if they're using Flashing Fire, or also just, no, not Destruction, the other one, like Freezing Curses, you can negate those and just gain a whole bunch of advantage, which is pretty nice, because the deck doesn't play a lot of hand traps. So if you're getting into a scenario where you already established your board and you get to search Saravus, which means like hard drawing Ohima or Benton, and then you should probably be good to go to search these Saravus. You can simply grab it to strengthen your board, especially against Book of Moon and stuff, because they try to negate your Baron, or like bait it out, and then you can just swap it with the Saravus and you still have the Omni negate. And then for the hand traps, we're playing 3 Ash, 3 Gamma with the 1 Driver. I just think Gamma is straight up the best hand trap in the deck, and you have to respect Round Lockbird, meaning Gamma is probably the best card for it. And then we're playing 2 Impermanence, which is basically an insane card against like everything that's not Trap Tricks. So pretty cool card, and also maybe Despia if they hard open Cartesia, but even then you can just hold it for your turn and imperm the Mirror Jade. And currently 8 hand traps, I'm pretty fine with it. You could also play like 12 hand traps to just increase the count, but honestly I feel like every deck that's not specifically spread, you have a pretty good matchup against, because you only really need like 1 hand trap, for example against Kashiro, to just force them to not 5 zone lock you. Like, there's 1 hand trap and that's enough. Also like Gamma is pretty good against it. And Sprite is the only deck where you have a game 1 problem, because their board just pretty much so strong that you cannot deal with your whole engine. Just put it in the spread board and win from there. But against every other deck, for example Despia, Kashtira, you can just play with your engine and then you should be good to go, especially with Gamma. So this is the 45 cards main deck. I'm pretty happy with it. Like, there's not much I would change, or like not much that I would even consider to change. And for the extra deck, in the extra deck we're playing one Baron, one Stardust. Stardust is just a bridge to get into Baron, for example if the mana gets negated, or simply just by using Gamma and Driver to get into the Baron, so I don't have to play the Omega, because this has more utility, and just like for corner cases. Then we're playing one Herald and one Entis, which are our Divine Ascents, and with them we're just flexible enough. You could also play like the Aggregator and some other Slayer targets, but I happen to not play Slayer currently in the format because there are not that many decks where you really want Slayer, and you should probably like play Dark Ruler for the spread matchup instead of Slayer, even though Slayer is pretty cool against it. But if you're scared of Dread Bricks for whatever reason, you should probably play like the Aggregator and the Slayer, because that card is pretty much an instant win. But for now we don't need it in the deck. Then we're playing one Access Code, one Unicorn, and one IP, just to have as an alternative package. Like, if you get interrupted, you can always end on IP, or just a hand with only Libromancers can end on IP and an Omni Negate, or like IP Snatch Seal with Ohima and stuff. So pretty much the generic package that always works. And now we're getting into all the cards that you can possibly banish with Prosperity. It's one Dynamondo, which is amazing in theory, but doesn't come up that often in like practice. But most of the time you're able to summon the Ohima, steal another monster from the opponent, and just link those two into Dynamondo and shuffle something. Then we're playing one Nightmare Phoenix because of like those weird matchups, and also Runic, where you just want to go into back row destruction as early as possible. And I feel like if you have the space, you should probably run Phoenix, because Phoenix is just perfect for those corner cases. Then one Linger Reroll, because Libromancer Fire is a Cyberus, and it's pretty good to just like bait out opponent's stuff, or just force them into using resources to get rid of the Linger Reroll and then use their trap. So pretty cool card, but also able to be banished off of Prosperity. One Cypher and Blood Lambda. Lambda is just for you're playing Gamma, so you can most of the time just make the Lambda to either, if you don't have the Gamma, just bait your opponent and like force them to not use anything, or just to be more careful about it. Like, it's just a bait and just a real power move, because most of the time your opponent will be scared of the Gamma, because if you have the Gamma and it resolves, like, it's insane. And also for a Rise Out, if you have the Gamma in hand and they only have a Rise Out, or you just top decked it and you cannot bait it out because before you put a monster on the field, you can link it off for Lambda, and then you just pretty much win from there. Then we're playing one Millennium Ice Restrict for the instant fusion, because you have to respect Troll, and also it is pretty good against Kashtira, because you can summon with instant fusion, and then the Eraser triggers, so you can attach or like equip the Eraser to the Millennium Ice, and if they already used the target banish, you just get to resolve and win from there. Or if you have Sarabus, you can protect it and win from there. And for the last three cards, there's a Zeus package with Fortune Tune, which you can sometimes make of the Geek Boy and the Nini, which I thought at first would not come up, but honestly it came up more often than I think, like even sometimes more often than Dynamona. So I really enjoy the card, but most of the time I just banish the Zeus package off of Prosperity, because usually you don't really need it, but it's nice to have as an option. And those are like the 15 extra deck spaces, and those are possible Prosperity banishes. Like 90% of the time you're going through 6 of these, you can banish and you keep the others. And for example, I lost the match because I banished other cards than this. Like, I banished an access code for Prosperity because I thought I did not need it, and with that I lost the match. Pretty unfortunate, but it happened. And this is the extra deck, which I think is pretty flexible, but also it seems pretty loose at first because you only really need like 5 slots, but then the more you play with the deck, those other slots become pretty mandatory. But in general, you could include cards like Slayer. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the basic combo of the deck. Pretty easy to have access to it because you can start with any Libromancer, like Fire, or Geek Boy, or Italy. Maybe also the Field Spell because all you do is lose one body, so it's easy to supplement that, and the body is not really that necessary. So also the Field Spell works, and Benton or Diviner or Prep, and you also have the pot. So pretty interchangeable. And if you don't open the Benton, just the Ohima, you get similar results. But for example, this is the best combo, or like the most simple combo. So we're starting off by Fire revealing the Benton to special summon itself and grab ourselves the Geek Boy. Then we can use the Geek Boy revealing the Benton to get the Field Spell. And then we can use the Field Spell to get ourselves the Doom Broker. And now we're able to Ritual Summon. Fun fact, not once per turn, it can come up if the Diviner gets negated and you already have access to Agent to just use the Doom Broker as synchro material for the starters to get into Barone, and then with Agent grab back the Doom Broker and Ritual Summon again, because the Ritual Summoning of this card is not once per turn. So, but for now we're using the Benton to summon the Doom Broker. Like, zones don't really matter, I just would not play into Relinquished Anima, but for this example right now, the sounds are not important. And Benton will grab ourselves the Diviner. So I wouldn't use the Doom Broker yet because we do not have an Omni Negate. And just for the possibility of you valuing the Trap Omni Negate more than the Barone Omni Negate, I just would not use the Doom Broker right now. And we can now summon the Diviner and send ourselves the Herald from the extra deck. If we already have Ohima, we can still send Herald to get Saravis, or we could also send a Shuffler if we think the matchup is going to be something like Runic, where the Shuffler is just pretty much guaranteeing the win. So we do not have Ohima, we get the Ohima, and now we can make the Synchro 10 into the Barone, and now we can use the Ohima to get ourselves, not the Ohima, to use the Doom Broker to get ourselves the Trap. Like, doesn't matter the way or like the order you do it, but now we can use the Ohima to grab the Arabesque. And depending on the rest of your hand, you can either discard the Ohima because you feel like you're not going to need it like for the next turn, or just the rest of your hand is pretty good and you already have another Ritual Monster, so you can just discard the Ohima. Or if you have a card you don't really need, you can just discard the other card to have more follow-up with the Ohima. Usually you're going to discard another card, because what we're now going to do is equip the Geek Boy and special summon Nini from the deck, bounce the Geek Boy, and that's the end of our combo. We're ending on 2 Omni Negates, Geek Boy in hand, and a Ritual Monster, which means we're able to just fully do everything again. Like, we have full combo for the next turn, even if our opponent decides to Lava Golem, Sphere Modas, maybe Kaiju, because like those are problematic cards for the field. Sphere Mode, insane. Lava Golem is good, but for Lava Golem they either have to keep an Omni Negate or a Snatch Steal, depending on the rest of your hand, like maybe Imperm, Ash. So it's pretty good. And if you have like one extender, you can also choose to special summon the Ohima with the Ceremony and use the extender to go into Dynamondo, which would be an end field of those 4 cards and not the Ohima in hand. And that just contributes to the fact that if they have Lava Golem or Sphere Mode, they have to tribute those 2 to guarantee you're not getting the Negate Plus follow-up. And with that, you're like more secure into it. But to be honest, it's cool in theory, but you don't do it that often. But like, if your opponent really don't need Normal Summon and you're scared of Sphere Mode because it's game 3, maybe consider putting your resources into it. So that's the basic combo, and with it, I hope you get a grasp of what the deck does, what it's good at, and also hope you enjoyed it. So let me know in the comments, maybe leave a like, maybe leave a comment if you liked it, or if it helped you to understand the deck, or maybe inspired you to build the deck, because Honestly, I was having a blast playing it, and if you just not miss playing like I do, it can get you to great results. And honestly, I'm pretty happy how it turned out. So hope you liked the deck profile, and I'm gonna see you with the next one.